Now it's time to put it all together. How do we produce major key signatures, and when do we use the flat rule? When do we use the sharp rule? We got to look at that. So the objectives for this lesson are to review the keys to memorize. By now you probably have them memorized because we've been doing it so many times. We're going to review how to find the last flat, or what the flat key process is in brief. Review the sharp key process in brief. And then the new piece of information, we're going to determine when to use the flat process or sharp process. So here we go. Let's do a little review first. C major is no sharps or flats, and F major is one flat, that flat being B flat. Those are the ones you have to memorize. We have to remember that flat keys go over one to the right from their name, and then that helps us find the last flat, and if you know that, you know how many flats are in your key. Sharp keys, we find the key we're looking for, we go over 2 in B, G, C, F, and that's your last sharp, and then you read from there. Now, how do we know if a key is a sharp key or a flat key? Well, if there is a flat in the name, like B flat, or C flat, or D flat, then we're going to use the flat rule. For everything else, we will use the sharp rule, except for C and F, because they are the exceptions we had to memorize. So, let's try it out. Key of D flat, sharps or flats? Do we go over 1 or do we go over 2? Well, there's a flat in a name, D flat. Therefore, we do the flat rule, which means we go over 1 for the last flat. Let's do another example. Key of D, sharps or flats? Well, the name of the scale, D, the name of the key, D, does not have a flat in its name. Therefore, we use the sharp rule. And what was the sharp rule? Over 2. Then we find the last sharp, and we know how many sharps we have. Let's do another one. Key of G flat, sharps or flats? Do we go over 1 or do we go over 2? G flat. So there's a flat in the name, therefore it's the flat rule, which means we go over 1, and that's our last flat, and that tells us how many flats are there. And for all you overachievers, D flat, you go over 1, G flat's the last flat, 5 flats. Key of D, you go over 2. C is the last sharp, there are 2 sharps. Key of G flat, go over 1. C flat's the last flat, therefore there are 6 flats. Anyone who's just curious. Thanks for watching.